Well, we've got some very interesting new reporting around Trump's plans to run again in 2024. So this was caught from a guest at a White House holiday party where the president said, well, we're going to try for another 4 years, and if not, I'll see you again in 4 years. Let's take a listen.
But it's been an amazing 4 years. We're trying to do another 4 years, otherwise I'll see you in 4 years.
Mildly concerning, Ryan, to hear some of those coughs in the background, as I understand that there was not a lot of mask wearing going on there. But hey, that's their prerogative; they can go for it. But let's throw this Axios thing up there on the screen. This is a more seriously reported story about Trump and 2024. So Jonathan Swan and Mike Allen write, quote, President Trump is likely to announce he's going to run again in 2024, perhaps before this term even ends. And Ryan, I think we've already talked about it here. I genuinely don't see any scenario where he doesn't run again in 2024, and not even that, but I mean, he loves to do counter-programming. Like whenever there was a White House Correspondents' Dinner, he'd do his own rally. Whenever there was, whatever, same thing. That he might just do a counter-rally on the day of the inauguration where he announces that he's going to run again in 4 years. I 100% think that is going to happen right now.
Right, and it presents a real dilemma a real collective dilemma for everyone else in the Republican Party because it was shaping up to be one of these 24 entrant kind of Republican primaries. And if they try to do that again, they'll get the same result that they got in 2016, which is Trump, easily winning, his 30% of the party, maybe much more. Maybe he wipes them out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only possibility you have of beating him is to have sort of a pre-Trump primary. Mm-hmm. where the opponents within the party decide like, okay, this is the person that we're going to get behind. But it's very difficult to see what person that is who could go up against him, and it freezes in place a lot of things, not just the Republican Party but the Democrats in a way. In some ways, it's a gift to the Democratic establishment because they don't have to then present a vision. A forward vision for what Democrats are going to fight for. All they have to say is like, look, the boogeyman is literally still here, and he's running again in 2024. So let's have all of these discussions about how what we're going to do for people later. The most important thing is making sure the fascist doesn't get back into the White House.
Yep. No, what you are describing is exactly what Crystal thinks is going to happen during the primary or during the next couple of years. It will still remain the case that you can't criticize the Democratic establishment from the left because then you are doing nothing but helping Trump, who is running again in 2024. What I hate about this is it freezes everything in time. There's literally no discussion whatsoever on the right and as well as the left. And look, Trump, if he runs in 2024, is going to win the Republican primary. There's not a question. Right. Even in a 2v2, 1v1 against somebody, there is nobody with the credibility and with the love in the Republican base than Trump. And a lot of Republicans need to be more honest about that. And you can actually see it in terms of the 2024 rivals or whatever, so to speak. Let's throw this Politico story up there on the screen. We got Senator Josh Hawley. He says, if he were to run in 2024, I think he would be the nominee, and I would support him doing that. And Senator Rick Scott saying it'd be great if he ran. He's done a good job so far. So look, people know where the power resides. Like, if Trump runs, it is game over for a lot of these other folks. And it's interesting because Trump loves this, right? That he sees there are people who would want to succeed him and all that. And he's like, no. He's like, this is my party. He's like, I'm going to be the one locking this in place. It's very possible even, he's done this before. He might say he's going to run, and then in 2023, he's like, actually, I'm not. You guys go for it. But as long as he can be the one in control, that's what he's going to do.
Right. And what's remarkable is that this is unique in the 20th century. Trump, in a lot of ways, was one of the biggest failures of the last 100 years as a president. Specifically in the sense that almost every time a party takes the White House from the other party, they get 8 years out of it.
Yeah,
now,
that's true.
Jimmy Carter would be kind of the only, the only counterexample to that, basically in the entire 20th century.
HW as well. Yeah.
Well, no, but he took over from Reagan.
Oh, right.
So what I mean is, like, when there was a party switch,
you win, and then
because the country's sick of the other party. And so HW, not entirely his fault. It's been 12 years of Republican rule. People were like, all right, enough with this party. But nobody would have thought that Jimmy Carter was going to be the guy who ran in 1984. People who have had this experience, you come in, you get one term, you get booted out. They typically lose all of their power, and they become pariahs, and people are annoyed. Like when Hoover would come and speak at every Republican convention, all the Republicans would be like, "Good Lord, why do we have to have Hoover up on the stage?" Reminding the entire country that we're the party of Hoover. Not that Hoover was going to come back and run in 1936. It's so this is kind of a represents a new era, and it has a lot to do with the way that our politics is changing and becoming more polarized.
No, you're right. And look, here's the case. Trump lost the election by less votes than Hillary lost, right? If you look at the critical states, there's something like 60-something thousand votes across a couple different states. You got to flip 20,000 votes in Arizona and Georgia? Not that hard, and maybe keep on. Same thing in Pennsylvania. It wasn't that big of a blowout. Michigan, what was Wisconsin? 20,000 vote, 25,000, something like that. That's only 60,000 across 3 states, right? You win the election.
Right. Yeah, I'd have to look at those numbers. Yeah. It ends up looking bigger, partly because the overall vote total was wider for Biden, and the number of states that Biden could lose Arizona or Georgia or whatever and still win. But you're right. It was like, but for the shift of tens of thousands of votes here or there, Trump ends up winning, and he'll have the same electoral college advantage
exactly
in 2024 that he would have that he had the last 2 times.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think he'd have a very plausible chance of winning the election, especially without coronavirus. And who the hell knows? I don't think Biden is going to do what needs to be done whenever it comes to the economy. Either he's going to try. The GOP will play its own role in keeping it that way, but the conditions which bred, his rise back in 2016, I think are only going to be even stronger in 2024. So it's going to be a fun 4 years. All right, everybody, we're going to have more Rising for you after this.